Okay, so we are live here. So I actually remembered to change the name this time so it doesn't say Bob from the future. And then you see my face. So welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I am not Bob. I am Autumn. If you've watched some of the shows in the past, you know that I occasionally stand in for Bob when he is unavailable. So that's what's happening today. I am here, and I am here with Chris Jordan. You're at Pompano?
Right now, yes, I'm
Okay,
at Pompano
you're at
Beach.
Pompano. Okay. So it's like I remember you from North Regional, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I moved somewhere else, and I don't know. And okay, so cool. Chris, is it Chris or Christopher? I don't want to see
Either one. You can
either
go with
one. Okay.
Chris. 'Cause
Okay. I don't want to say it wrong. I want to make sure I get it right. So, okay. So I am here with Chris, and we have got some wonderful articles here today. So let's get started on the articles. So, first up, we have NASA announces astronauts who will fly by the moon next year. So this was an interesting, let me just scroll here for the little pretty picture of our new lunar team here. First female to do this type of situation, and astronaut of color. We also have a Canadian, so international as well.
Yeah.
So it's really neat. It's kind of sad that they're not going to be going to the moon. They're not even going into lunar orbit. They're just like, hey, hi.
Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a long time coming, and I know it took them forever to get the test up last year. So
Yes, the unmanned test.
mhm, mhm.
Although I'm ready for the moon now. I mean, I'm ready.
Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go. It's been a while. I
What's the
mean,
holdup, NASA? You don't know what to do by now? You've done this.
exactly. You've done this before. Come on. It's not the first time. It
But
is the first time for this vehicle. So,
yes, the
but I'm
Artemis.
sorry, you were going to say? Go ahead.
Yes, the Artemis needs to be tested, like you were saying.
Mhm.
But it is in lieu of something else going forward. I mean, the moon is not the final stop that they want to do. So I understand they need to really make sure that this vehicle can perform.
Right. Yeah. And I know when it did go up, it was the first time that a vehicle had been to the far side, and that they were doing testing for radiation.
Yes, which
So it's
cosmic
kind of
rays.
kind of important. Be like, guess what? One-way trip. Have fun. Um, so that is really interesting. I kind of feel like it should have been an all-female thing
They
with
could have.
Artemis. I mean,
Yes, I love the
missed it.
mythological
Mm-hmm. They
portion.
totally missed it. So
Maybe I think once they're ready to land on the moon, which they said if this is successful, it'll be later on this decade where the Artemis generation. They may be thinking about something like that because they seem to be thinking about optics. The next one they want to have the first woman on the moon, the first person of color on the moon.
mhm.
So those, I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. I've talked about this in a previous show, but I am a huge fan of For All Mankind on Apple TV, which
Oh,
is a reimagining of the space race. It's an alternate history. Not given spoilers, but we didn't win. So, and it's really an interesting thing. So if you have Apple TV, check it out. It's really cool. Anybody, check it out. It's really awesome. So yeah, I can't wait for that. Let's see. Oh wow, I just realized I'm scrolling through here. It's like, it's moving on the screen. Oh my god. So yeah, so this will be really cool. And oh wait, I just saw a little thing here. So the female astronaut here, I can't see. Coke
Coke is her last name.
Coke.
Yes.
Okay. Coke became an astronaut in 2013. set a record in 2020 for longest single space flight by a woman.
A
After
long.
spending a total of 328 days in space aboard the space station. Wow. And she participated during that mission in the first all-female spacewalk. So she's
Yes.
already a groundbreaker,
Right.
which is amazing, which is fantastic for her as it is. But this is even more to add to that list. So that is really awesome. And in this video little thing here, they're with Bill Nelson, who is the head of NASA, former senator. Yes, former senator for the state of Florida. I knew he was in the government somehow, but yeah, senator.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool, and I can't wait for it. And hopefully they don't have to wait too long and have to do too many delays.
Yeah.
So.
2024. It's coming up.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, look at this little guy. He looks like he's gonna bite my finger.
Speaking of fingers.
Right, he's like, hey, that's a mighty tasty looking finger you got there. Do magic tricks work on monkeys only if they have opposable thumbs like us? So it's interesting that somebody thought to do like, I'm gonna do magic for this monkey.
I mean, we've seen the YouTube videos, hopefully most of us, of people trying to do magic tricks for other primates. And it's interesting, it's fun, but now it's been turned into a study. Somebody said, I'm going to study this.
They're like, hey, I love these YouTube videos. I'm going to get paid to watch them. This will be great.
Paid. Not just to watch them, but to do them.
Exactly. That is really, I mean, I assume it's because if you don't have the opposable thumbs, it's not relatable. And so their little brains are like, what?
What I got from the article, it seems like the magic trick they chose specifically meant that you needed a thumb to make it work. So only having 4, they're not thinking about, oh, well, maybe this is hiding there, maybe this is whatever. They're thinking about it from a 4-finger perspective. So of course they're going to be like, no, this is how it's being done. I'm watching your 4 fingers. I know how this works.
Right. They're like, I know what's up.
I got you.
That's just, it's really interesting because you don't think about, I mean, I've seen, not related to monkeys, but I've seen the ones where people do the disappearing tricks for their dogs.
Yes.
And the dogs just flip out. They're like, oh my God, where did they go? But again, it's that object permanence, and they're not necessarily the best with that. It's more like with a little kid, with a baby or a toddler, that they don't have that sense that adults do. But this is on a next level thing that we don't need to read those t-shirts. I'm just kidding. I mean, some of them are interesting, but I'm like, these ads though, what is happening?
A lot.
Let's just scroll past some of these.
What was interesting, I thought too, was I never thought about animals using their thumbs different ways. Or like one of the animals use their thumbs like we do, the other one used it part way like we do, and I'm like, how do you use a thumb partially? Right? Don't you just use the thumb?
Yeah, it's like, it's here.
Yeah, but apparently the thumbs are placed on the hands differently, so their idea of how they're supposed to be used is different too.
That is an interesting thing. Now it would be like, okay, now do raccoons.
Yeah,
because
I want to see something else.
They have hands like we do, and they use them very similarly as we do. So,
and they're intelligent.
They're very smart. So let's do raccoons now.
Or give me a crow. I want to see what a crow thinks. They are so smart, and they don't have thumbs at all. They don't even have hands. I want to see what they do with this trick.
Yeah, that would be interesting too, because almost all corvids are so super intelligent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be really interesting. They'd be like, I found it. And you're like, dang it. Didn't even know. He
And I thought
went
it'd be
behind you.
interesting with them because they like games. That's one of the things they
Mm-hmm.
didn't mention in this article. We enjoy magic tricks, and they were talking about the implications of it with humans and whatnot. But primates don't necessarily enjoy, all of them don't necessarily enjoy magic tricks like we do.
Right.
Corvids play, dolphins
Right.
play. Let's see how it goes with another animal that likes to play like we do, you know?
Right, right. Like let's try like an octopus or
Yeah.
a cuttlefish that are problem solving animals
Yeah.
that yeah, that what is it? I saw the one, it's a story about an octopus that was getting mad that a light was shining in its tank. And
Oh,
so it was
yes.
shooting it out with ink. It's like, turn off the light. So, I mean, they are very intelligent and they know how to
Yes.
get things done. So,
Try it in different ways. The study needs to be expanded. They have my
exactly.
permission.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Rubber stamped by Broward County Libraries. Please
Yeah.
move forward with your research.
We're not giving you money, but you may
No.
move forward.
Yes. Please go ahead. So let's see. What else do we have? Ooh, AI. Regulating AI. 3 experts explain why it's difficult to do and important to get it right. Um, yeah, I did see it. It's like talking about the fake photos of Trump being arrested.
Yes.
Uh, there's so many different. Oh man, there was the one. Is this the one? There was a lot of the artwork. Um,
That's the world I'm in,
like
yeah.
yeah, last year where the weird lady kept showing up in all of these pictures and stuff. It was just the creepiest thing. Um, but yeah, so this is interesting. Please, can you talk on this?
Sure. Well, what the article goes into is some of the difficulties with actually regulating, and not just the difficulties with regulating these different platforms, but trying to even wrap our minds around how that regulation is going to work and how in the past, when you're dealing with a developing technology, and our bureaucracy works so
Mm,
slowly that by the time you put something out there, it's already obsolete.
mhm,
So how do we place guardrails on this type of technology? Because it's not just AI art. We've got I was playing around with an AI writing thing where it
mm,
like you write something and it types out the next part for you. Canva has something like that now too. So how do you regulate that? It's moving constantly. And one of the things I want to bring up that the article didn't go into, it was
mhm,
talking about the companies that do it. Because right now, for a lot of AI things, AI is incredibly difficult to operate on your own home machine. It
mm,
uses up, I've used for my own work, I've used AI art programs in order to get just character references, which is fine for me doing it on my own because I need to sort of get, okay, so how am I going to draw this person? How am I going to draw that person? I need an idea of what this person's going to look like. And then I
mhm.
can say, no, I'm absolutely not going to do that. I'm going to do my own thing, which is usually what happens. But your graphics card has to be incredibly
Mm,
powerful. Your
mhm,
memory, it takes so much. Just making
mm.
3 pictures, you can hear the machine struggling.
Oh,
So,
man.
of course, you're going through these different companies that are providing it for you. They're using their own servers, their own equipment, and you're able to pump out of, 20, 10 different pictures in minutes rather than in 30 minutes or whatever on your own machine.
Right.
But now that you have the ability to download some of these onto your own computer, you can't regulate the business because once it's yours, and once you have the ability to train the art on whatever you want, I can I can take a million pictures of Bob
Mhm.
and do a checkpoint thing and train an AI generator, art generator, to know what Bob looks like. So I can have Bob surfing on the moon. Let's bring a callback. And then I can take some of the talks here, tech talks, and deep fake his voice. So now I've got
Right.
all of this stuff going on and I've taken this person. Nobody can stop me because nobody knows I'm doing it.
Right, right. It's yeah, it's kind of scary.
It actually is, because you have people like with the Trump thing, a lot
Mhm.
of people were doing all these AI generated images and people were believing that that's what it looked like. They don't know how to tell the real from the fake. So that's, if we
Right.
can't even do it, and they were talking a little bit about well, I won't skip ahead, but
It's okay.
um, well, the bias, the
Mm,
technology bias. Well, if it came from technology, technology can't do anything unethical, except we can do quite a few unethical things with technology. And businesses are like, in the art world, deviant art has been around for
mhm, mhm.
ages.
Right.
Recently, they had a big kerfuffle because they wanted to use the art that was already on the site so that their AI art generator could train on
Mm,
the image that are there. The problem
right.
was they didn't ask anyone's permission.
Ooh.
Not only did they not ask anyone's permission, but some people who have their art on DeviantArt are deceased. They can never give their permission. And DeviantArt did
Oh.
not give you the option to opt out until, and this is where the marketplace comes in with places that, like these established generator places,
Mhm.
where you can come in and say, I want something ethical, make it ethical. And then
Mm,
DeviantArt did a turnaround. They said, okay, well, now you can opt out. And everyone said that's not good enough. Not only do I
right.
need the ability to opt out, I need that to be automatically that I'm opting in. I have to opt in to be a part of this.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely a better way to handle it. That it's not just you're automatically in unless you say no.
Right.
No.
So
Yeah.
it may be that through the marketplace, through um, demand and our own voices, that may be how businesses decide to regulate themselves. It doesn't help those hidden portions where you can do quite a bit that might be
Mm,
nefarious, and people quite honestly are. Um, but also, there is that pushback. You can do something in the shadows, but once you bring it to light, how are your peers going to react to what you're doing?
right. Right. I this is not necessarily art related, but I'd seen a I believe he was a law student had
Mhm.
created just like a chat bot,
Oh gosh, yes.
and he's used it to get out of all sorts of moving violations and parking violations that he just like do, and it's like, okay, here, da, 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 da. And there was a thing on, I want to say CBS News this morning, where they were talking about, oh, is AI going to replace you in your job? And it's like, well, most likely
Mm,
no.
right.
Um, but but for people like paralegals and
Yeah.
in the specifically the law profession, that they're going to be using things like chat gpt to create legal documents,
Yeah.
you know so it's easier, at least first drafts, it's easier to draft it up like that.
Yes.
I know, in a sideways related, my husband uses chat gpt to help with his D&D game
Mm,
because it knows all the rules,
right.
because let's face it, the people who are creating the training information for it were most likely playing lots of D&D. And
Probably.
so all of original second edition, third edition, up to
Oh
fifth
gosh.
edition, all of the
Yes.
rules are in there. And so he's like, I need this for 3.5. And they're like, okay. Blah, 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 blah. And it knows, and it's like, okay, where is that? And it's like, okay, it's in the monster manual on this page, this paragraph. And you're like, whoa.
And that's amazing. That's really something, that's something amazing. When it's used for small things like that,
Mhm.
ethics doesn't necessarily play a role, because thank you for delivering this thing to me. It's like a Siri kind of thing.
Right.
But then you have the other part of the chat bot where they didn't tell people that they were not talking to a therapist. And the chat
Oh,
bot is giving people with, mental issues, psychological issues, advice on what to do. And that was a big row too, because people are like, you can't do that. You
yeah,
can't
no.
ask people to be a part of an experiment And they said, well, we had people in the background overlooking what the chatbot was giving out.
Mhm.
But that's going on to the next article was exactly that's suable.
Right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'm talking.
Let me pull that one up. Let's see. I have it. Why did I not put it on the thing? Is that the
That is stable diffusion copyright lawsuits could be a legal earthquake for
oh,
AI.
is this? Yeah,
There
there
he
we go. There
is.
we go. Okay. Wow.
And
That's a huge lawsuit all in and of
yes.
itself right there. And that's not I'm not just talking about the Dave on FX over. I'm just like,
Yes.
what is that? What is happening?
These ads are
No.
really out
Yeah,
of
I know.
pocket.
They're just
But looking at Mickey here,
Mhm.
yeah, Disney has a case. If you try to put this on something, on a T-shirt, on an album cover, whatever, and you can't prove that it's fair use, Disney has the lawyers, Sony has the lawyers, and people are Warner Brothers. People are making Mickey Mouse. They're making Superman and Spider-Man, and they're of real people like Trump or Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
These can you make something and then sell that to somebody, or is that you
I
know?
mean, I know there's obviously, like you said, fair use. There is if you're a public figure.
Yes.
Um, I remember what was it? Was it last week or the week before? The John Oliver's last week tonight was discussing the whole Disney copyright or the it's coming up on the original Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse.
Mm,
Right? It's like
yeah.
about to end and they already had an extension and they could get another one. It's hard to say
They could.
because they got a lot of money.
Yes.
But one of the ways it looks like they've gotten around it is part of the 100th anniversary celebrations for the studios
Mm.
is that they put the little snippet of the Steamboat Willie cartoon at the beginning of all the movies.
Oh, you're
And
right.
so they're like, ah.
Well, they've been crafty lately.
Oh, yeah. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. They
Speak,
pay people lots of money to be
yes, they
crafty.
do. Speaking from a Florida standpoint, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, I grew up in Central Florida,
Oh.
so I know they're everywhere, and it's okay. I'm not
Yes.
talking bad. I'm not talking bad. I swear. Yeah. That low-level Central Florida paranoia. Never talk bad about the mouse.
Well, that's the thing too, and I understand that there are people who want to get around this by using stable diffusion because they don't agree with copyright laws. They don't agree with trademarking something into the nth degree, and they have a lot of animus for these different corporations. But I would say the other side is, and I think this is why the art world has been so against stable diffusion and Dolly and all of these different AI art generators, and not necessarily with some of the other ones. The deep fakes, I think, with voices and whatnot, that's its own thing. But when it
Yeah.
comes to art, if you're have a notoriety online, you have a lot of people who don't like you then too. So now, if you have enough of your work online, I can use a checkpoint thing with something offline. I can train it to understand your art specifically,
Mm,
and I can say make art like if you look at a lot of the art prompts, a lot of them say make art like Art Germ. You may not know
okay.
who he is, but he's big in comics, and he has his
Okay.
own style. And they actually kind of mention him in the article. He has his
Mhm.
own style. Um, but what if I do that to try to replace him? I don't want to
Mm,
hire him anymore. I can't afford to hire him. Make it like Art Germ, or make it like Saki Michan, or one of these other people who may not have a lot of money to fight something like this.
right.
Suddenly, and people are paying other people to make artwork like somebody
Mm,
else. Can you train whatever to make it like whoever? And that whoever can't fight that because they don't have
right.
the lawyers. So, I mean, talking about regulation again,
Mhm,
What do
mhm.
you do?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, when we saw proliferation of social media,
Mm,
especially platforms like Instagram, when it first started, it was mainly just pictures, right?
right,
And
right.
so you would see people stealing photographs, paintings, or whatever,
Yes,
and cutting out the watermarks or whatever.
yes.
And so you had that, but this is so much more devious.
It is. It is, and but there people are fighting back. Artists have discovered new ways to put in watermarks that AI can't take out for now.
Mm, for now.
And there is talking about regulation. There is a program out there called Hive, and it can
Mhm.
detect if something has been made using stable diffusion. But it's kind
Oh.
of like an officer. You have to tell it, investigate this, investigate this, investigate this image, that image, that image,
Mm.
and it can tell you with a good degree of accuracy whether it's been AI generated. But that's that. Can it do it for the voices? Can it do it for video now? Can it do it for writing? Can it do it for all these other things that are out there?
Right.
Can it tell
Yeah.
you if your therapist online is a real therapist and not a bot?
That is just so terrible. Um,
It was
we're
bad.
yeah, that's we're gonna have to wrap up here, but,
Mm,
I know I have some friends who are professors, and
mm,
one of their warnings was if your students are using ChatGPT to write papers,
mm.
and they have sources that they've cited in the last 5 years, they're fake.
Oh. Oh,
They're not
wow.
they are not real.
Okay.
So that's a quick way to find out that they cheated.
Yes, that's
I
true.
mean, and I know Bob brought this up when he and I were discussing Chat GPT for writing papers, and he's like, "Well, the same could be said about calculators for math." And
That's
I'm like,
true.
"Oh, but are formulas really that creative? Are they
That's the other part.
though?"
It's a little easier to catch it when creativity, that human element comes into play.
Exactly, exactly. But, okay, so we're gonna have to wrap up. Did you have any last parting thoughts on any of this? Any library stuff?
Use Freegal. Freegal, get your free music. 6 downloads every week. They have updated their website. They have updated their app. It looks really good, and they are so good at getting current things in. I was able to get Chloe Bailey's In Pieces the day of from Freegal. And before, you would have to wait a week or a month. Now it's there. Use Freegal. Save some money.
Nice, nice, and you can use it with your Broward County Library card. Beep.
Exactly.
And if you don't live in Broward County, you can still get your free instant e-card at broward.org/library. Ta-da! All right, excellent. Well, it was wonderful talking with you, Chris. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And Bob appreciates me being here.
Yes, he should.
Ah. Hopefully he didn't get picked. He's on jury duty, by the way. So for anybody who doesn't know, and oh, you might see me next week. Who knows? But all right, so we'll get this all shared out, and everything will be awesome. And again, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Autumn, so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.